Lifting Leaders podcast, where we explore what it means to lead with courage, clarity, and heart in a world that's asking more of us than ever before. I'm Crystal Roberts.
And I'm Trisha Ryan. We are two executive coaches. Together, we have over 70 years of experience helping leaders, teams, and organizations thrive.
This year, we're focusing on something both simple and powerful. Light the spark, ignite genuine hope, and lead the change.
Because leadership doesn't begin with having all the answers, it begins when someone is willing to notice what's possible, to name what needs to change, and to take one brave step forward.
Throughout this year, we'll be exploring the leadership capabilities that help sparks turn into sustained action and hope turn into real impact. You'll hear honest conversations with leaders, thinkers, and change makers who are navigating complexity with integrity and care.
Together, we'll talk about how leaders spark possibility when others feel stuck, how genuine hope is built and sustained, especially in challenging times, and how meaningful change happens through everyday choices, not grand gestures.
Whether you're leading a team, an organization, a community, or simply yourself, this year is an invitation to lead with intention, to stay human, and to believe that your actions matter.
So take a breath, lean in, and let's begin.
Hi, Trisha. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm great. How are you doing, Crystal?
I'm doing good.
Yeah?
Hey, listeners, did you notice that things are different?
We hope you notice things are different. A fresh new opening?
Yeah, fresh new opening.
I like it.
Yeah. And we talked about what this, in more depth anyway, we talked about that in our opening episode this year. So if you are wanting more information about like, what are they doing? What are we talking about here? Feel free to go to our first episode this year, our opening one. And we talk a lot more about what it means and why we're focusing on that this year. I'm really excited about today because we get to do a little bit of reflection on our last two episodes, which were with our Three-Peat.
Yes.
The guests who have been on our show 3 times. Now it'll be 4 because this last time they were together. And it was just such a great time with them that we had them come back. So we had 2 episodes with them. And those people are Lindsey Godwin, Carla Ondrasik, and Jeff McAuliffe.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, we would not have ever had them back 3 times had they not been amazing, right?
Yeah.
They just have a spark in them.
Yeah.
And each one of them brings something that is just so beautiful to what we do as a podcast, right? And I think that their messages are so compelling for people, you know?
Yeah. And for me, I feel like these messages that they have been consistent with also through all 3 different times that we've had them on, and even in these last 2 episodes, they have really influenced how I think about making change.
Yes. You know, what I thought was so brilliant on our part, we have to admit it, was when we were talking about this last year, we thought, wouldn't it be cool if we could bring back the 3 people that we have had on the podcast 3 times for very good reasons and see how they dance, right? See how they navigate with one another. And they all have wonderful messages. And if we just were to sit down and think about how you connect the dots with them, we could do that. But they did it so much better.
Yeah.
The conversation was just amazing to me. It was so comfortable and it flowed so well. I just loved listening to them and I wanted to keep going. I would have loved for that to have been a 4-hour podcast. That would have been not quite enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It was, I really enjoyed how they played with each other and played off each other. And were so respectful. They were just in how they interact with each other. They were great representatives, great examples of how we would say leaders should interact with each other and work together. So I thought we might today in this Gems episode really just share a couple of things. There were so many amazing moments and quotable moments, but maybe just share a couple of things that resonated particularly with us. And then we've got some kind of overarching comments about what we saw when we looked across both these episodes and across the messages that each of them shared with us. And if you haven't listened to those 2 episodes, we would encourage you to actually go back and to listen to them. I've now listened to both of them a couple of times because there's just so much great stuff in there.
Yes.
Yeah. It was hard to pull out a couple of things, but because I feel like I'm leaving all this stuff on the floor, but hopefully you'll go back and actually listen to the full episodes.
I've listened to them twice, and actually I probably didn't intend to listen to them twice in a row, but I ended up having to because I was,
prepping for this.
Yes,
yeah.
I was. And but it was interesting because the second time I listened, I actually got some other nuggets that I missed the first time, which was, always the goal. For me, it's like I'm sure that we don't always hit every highlight. And when you go back and listen again and you relax into it, you can, it opens your mind to so many more things that they said. It's wonderful. So, Crystal, when you're thinking about how in the first episode, how things, what resonated with you during that episode, what comes to mind?
Yeah, when I think about it in relationship to this concept of lighting the spark, and the capability there is really around awareness, imagination, courage, and that leaders can't change the world if they can't see what's possible. I really loved Carla's comment. I think maybe what I'll do is I'll pull one out from each of them. Like I said, there's so many I could have tapped on, but she opened with her comment around we need to be, as leaders, aware of our language and how that impacts our lives and also the lives of those people around us. And I really feel like that's such a good reminder, especially when we're talking about lighting a spark. So when we think about, are we using language that engenders possibility, or are we using language that focuses people on the negative and focuses people on the problem? Is our language hopeful? Is our language looking towards the future? Even if we have to deliver news that is hard, because there is a lot of things out here right now in the world that are hard, can we do it in a way that doesn't make us stuck in that moment, but actually helps us to open our eyes to new possibilities?
I know that when she was talking about really, paying attention to your words, right? Our words matter. And from her perspective of don't try, and she's talked about this with us before, how, our language is embedded with try. It is. And it's not just the word try. It's like all of the way we talk to children as they're growing up and, oh, it didn't work this time, but, it'll be better next time. You could try it again next time. It'll work better, or something like that. And so she was saying that we need to, from my perspective, she was saying, let's take a look at our language and say, what do we need to be more intentional about? If we want people to move forward, if we want them to strive for excellence or whatever, we need to start using language that puts us in that mind frame, frame of mind.
She reminded us that our thoughts become our words become our actions, and our actions become our reality. With Jeff, I really liked, and again, I liked everything that Jeff had to say. I really respected what he brought. I really appreciated when Jeff talked about how hope is about being able to stay present for what is and to really focus on gratitude. So I think that lines well with when we talk about that hope isn't about rainbows and unicorns, but we have to say what is in front of us, and then we can work from that. But we have to be real about what that is. And so I really appreciated that comment and that reminder. With Lindsey in this first episode, I have to give a shout out to her quote around, I feel synapses sparking. She was sharing that when she was enjoying the interaction between the three of them. I was like, yes, and sparking is our focus. That Real hope requires action and engagement. And that was actually a quote that she gave us from Jane Goodall. Real hope requires action and engagement. It's not wishful thinking, but it's a daily practice. And I thought that is just another really good reminder and very aligned with what we are thinking, that we have to be intentional about hope. Mm-hmm. Hope is a practice that takes courage and dedication and daily tending to. Really appreciated that.
I appreciated it too. We spent the last few years kind of focusing on hope and trying to convince the world that it's not a fluffy word, right? It is not just something that we say. It's not something that you can't really touch. You can touch it. Hope it's a verb, and it is something that's important in business and not in non-business in our world. And it's just something that I really appreciated, the fact that she gave it more meat to me. I felt like it had more substance to it, and we need that. We need to hear that. For me, I think there were so many things that came out of this first episode that just blew my mind, actually, and partly because it was grounded in everything that we've learned to be true, but is not always well navigated and hasn't always been well navigated in our careers. And they're bringing it back to something that's fundamental. What I took away from part of that was all of the things that are going on in the world, the craziness that's going on in the world. And at a moment in your life when you're in crisis, or you have something that's going on that you really need to pay attention to, all those distractions can be overwhelming. And so to divest yourself from some of that and just take a breath, take a pause and quiet your mind. And Jeff brought this out, which I thought was brilliant, was paying attention to how you are navigating through something. Take a moment and consciously think about it. And I thought that was brilliant because, when you're in crisis, the last thing you think about is you might think about how you're feeling, oh, I'm so sad, or I'm so scared, right? But you don't think about, how is what I'm doing right now impacting the people around me? And what do I need to do for myself so that others will be able to see that I'm doing something in a positive manner, or somehow to navigate through it. And he was talking about a situation he was going through, and how his intentional looking within was actually impacting the way his family was navigating, or started navigating afterwards, because they were noticing how he was doing that, and it calmed them down. Yeah. And I thought that was really, really beautiful. And that happens in change too. It's not just crisis. When there's major change going on in like an organization, and the people at the bottom don't really have all of the answers. Yeah. Neither do the people at the top, by the way. But the thing is that if a leader is really conscious of how they are coming across, what the message should be, and how they want people to embrace it, they might change the way they approach, right? And that's sort of what I got from that too. It's not just a personal thing. It is a personal thing, but it's also, you can use that in business. You can use it just about anywhere. Lindsey, we had another story from Lindsey, and I thought it was beautiful that she was talking also about taking a pause and reflecting on and being intentional. So those were threads that I kept hearing. And the same thing with Carla. Yeah. She is on her Don't Try tour right now, basically book tour. And of course she was going to talk about that, but the three of them talking helped all of them craft their stories a little differently, so that you could see the red thread coming through. So when Carla's talking about intentional doing, right, I thought that was also very complimentary of what Lindsey was talking about, which is slowing down and taking a pause and thinking about something, right? Yeah. So this was just that probably bled into the second episode, but I don't care. This was just a really impactful 2 sessions.
One thing that I didn't say about in episode 1 that I wanted to share also that sort of stood out to me was Jeff's comment around what's missing. And he said that what's missing is that we don't have a positive vision of what the future looks like. Mm-hmm. And that one really hit me strong because I thought, it's really true. Mm-hmm. And his sort of secondary comment about that was sort of his idea about why that is. And it's because really from his perspective, the future, the vision of the future to a lot of people is kind of less.
Yes.
We tend to be living in a world of wanting more, more, more. But for it to be sustainable, we have to actually do less. So I do think, though, this idea that somehow we have to come together and collectively have a vision about where we're going is so important.
Carla was sharing at that point as well about how her daughter, well, if she wants some kind of special drink, she could just put it in her phone and it shows up at her door, right? Yeah. And how it's an instant thing. She lives in an instant world, and so much of our population does now. And so looking into the future may not be as easy anyway because they are so busy-minded in the present with all of the things, the distractions they have at hand and the things that are so instant that happen. What else can there be, right? Yeah. AI, right? But it's something that if we don't slow down, and this was I think it was a kind of an advisory moment there for him, is if we don't slow down and we don't start looking at a more simple way of viewing the world and what we could do, we are going to actually exhaust the earth and people too. Yeah. People need to have a vision of the future. They need to be able to see something better. Yeah. But what if you've never had anything and you don't know what better would look like, or you've had everything, and you don't know what better would look like than where you are right now? That is a big problem. When you think about it, this is a big dilemma. That one statement made a huge difference when I was thinking about how do we look at the future? Yeah. And in a world that is so chaotic right now, you could probably identify what better would look like in a sense, but you may not be able to if you've never lived in times of war or, times when it was really terrible and then it got better. You have no point of reference. Yeah. Well, and it really goes to what we know from the Gallup research that came out that we reference often around what employees want. What is they really want, the number one thing they want is hope from their leaders. Yes. So that's why we call it hope-led leadership. It's that clear vision about what's better, and better doesn't necessarily mean more. Right. But having clarity around that helps, and that's part of helping to light the spark, is having clarity of vision. Yeah. And that goes to what Lindsey was talking about, how you to gain that kind of vision or to gain a better view of things, you have to take a pause. You have to stop and kind of assess your world. Where are you right now? And am I in a space that is going to be helpful, or am I in a space where I need to keep reflecting? Yeah. Self-awareness, right? Yeah. And that really goes to part 2. Yes. So as we think about, part 2 was really focused on what do leaders need in 2026 in order to help make a better world. And so a couple things that kind of jumped out at me, and I think, Tricia, there was a lot of that piece about slowing down. And I love Lindsey's actual term she used, which was strategic slowness. Yes, I like that too. Yeah, that is a great way to think about it. That gets to that intentionality. It's like we're doing this on purpose to slow down. And Jeff kind of came in with also a similar idea around reflection. So slowing down, but also
in this intentional way around personal reflection so that we create a learning cycle. So we
Yes.
aren't just repeating what we've done before, but how do we actually identify, well, maybe that didn't go as well as we expected, or maybe it went well, but we could do even better, and learn from that. And that helps us to actually take action in the future.
And that was supported by what Carla was saying as well. I mean, it led right into her idea of, sometimes you just have to jump into something and move forward. And as you go along, you start to see what the possibilities are. However, I think that I was expecting that's where there might be friction because of the slowing down part, but she's totally on board with that. It's about intention, right? It's about making sure that you're doing something with purpose, not just doing to do.
Yeah. And I think that just resonated throughout the whole,
Yes.
that whole second episode.
Yeah, I think she basically said motivation will follow if you act first. Sometimes you just jump in and motivation's going to follow.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved her example of if you're wanting to cook more, that, who really is motivated to go to the grocery store, right? And even if you use an app and get your groceries delivered or whatever, it's hard to do something new like that.
Right.
But doing it, and then it's like, all the smells, and it tastes
the umami.
good. Yeah, it's like, now I can do it again because now I have motivation.
Yeah.
But to start out just with the thought of doing it, it can be hard to get over that hurdle of your habitual behavior of not cooking.
Yeah, and I think that really resonated with me as well, because there's so many things that I put off until tomorrow, or I might, but if I just jump in, sometimes I really get into it. And it amazes me that I go back and do a little reflection on, why didn't I start that earlier? Why didn't I do that? Ding.
Yeah. If we're waiting for the motivation, if we're waiting for the spark,
Right.
If we don't take some action, that spark might never come.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't necessarily notice anything. Right?
Yeah. So I'm going to share their recommendations on a small step that people can take, because I felt like all of them were so great. So Carla said, pick something small and begin doing it in the best way you can. It doesn't have to be perfect, but the best way that you can. Do something. Lindsey said, make sure you're noticing what's working and where you're getting your energy. Follow the energy. Look at who's bringing you energy, the people around you, who's bringing you energy. Make further connection. Go towards that. And then she reiterated that slowing down. Awareness is our gateway to aligned action. So for Jeff, his one thing was to get more focused.
Right.
That we need to eliminate distraction, and then to do that reflection piece so that we can create a space and a place to reflect on what I learned and what do I do next. So the next step is to do that, to look back. As we're planning for 2026, look back. What did I learn from 2025? And apply that to your plan for 2026.
Yeah, I think what I picked out of that was the key thing here is paying attention.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Being that awareness, being aware. Yeah. So overall, like the meta message from all of that as we think about planning for 2026 and how to make a better world, how to be a better leader, how to help our teams and our communities and our organizations is really that strategic slowness, I think. It's to slow down, to be aware, to pay attention.
And to take a step, right?
Yeah. Be intentional about what do I want to do next, and then actually take that action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a light the spark moment, don't you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And
I got something out of like ignite the genuine hope and lead the change. I saw that in both of these episodes from all three of them. It was kind of a round up the entire year moment.
Yeah,
it was.
It was. Yeah. So thanks for going on that summary memory ride with us. And we would love to hear from you. What did you take away from these 2 really impactful episodes? Share it on your Instagram or your Facebook, or if you're following us on LinkedIn. We post there quite a bit as well. We'd love to hear what came up for you. And that gets the spark going too.
Yeah.
We inspire each other, right? So
leave us a message on our Instagram, You
Yeah.
could do that. Put a heart near. We'd love to see that.
Yeah. So before we go, we invite you to pause for just a moment and ask yourself, what spark was lit for you today? And where can you take one small, meaningful action? Leadership doesn't require having all the answers. It begins when we choose to act with intention, hope, and care, just like we talked about in these last 2 episodes. If this conversation sparks something for you, carry it forward into your work, your relationships, and the world around you. And if this episode resonated, share it with someone who could use a spark of hope today. Together, we can light the way and lead the change. We have so many exceptional podcast episodes coming up with more fantastic guests, so be sure to subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen. If you know someone who would find this episode inspiring or they need that spark, share it with them, text them, email them, or take a screenshot, share it on your Instagram, and tag us at lifting_leaders. If you'd like to know more about us, our guests, or the show, please go to our website at liftingleaderspodcast.com. You'll find our show notes there as well. If you're looking for help in developing your leaders or would like a growth opportunity yourself through leader coaching, please contact us through our website at www.liftingleaderspodcast.com. Thank you to Ari Chance Roberts for his technical support of our show. Finally, please take 30 seconds and follow us. It helps you because you never miss an episode. And it helps us
because you never miss an episode.
To follow us, go to the Lifting Leaders Podcast Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen. Then just tap the plus sign in the upper right-hand corner and click on follow. While you're there, if you'd be willing to give us a 5-star rating and review and share the episode with a friend, we'd be really grateful.
Yes.
Thank you, Trisha, for another fun episode.
Thank you, Crystal.
Many thanks to you, our listeners. We appreciate you. Find ways every day to lift each other up. Have a fantastic week.
Bye.